I want to welcome everybody to tonight's evening meeting on this proposed gym and community center. I'll start by doing some introductions and then the format of the meeting, and then we will end with questions at the end. First of all, my name is Joe Meyer, the Superintendent of Schools here at Murray County Central. I want to introduce our school board. On the end, Dan Wolf, he's our board chair. Tom Maisner is our vice chair. Sue Streff, our treasurer. Lauren Biegler, clerk. Tony Clark, director. And Robin Gilbertson, director. To my left on the panel up here, immediate left, Steve Posh from GLT Architects, architect for this proposed project. To Steve's left, Shelby McQuay from Ehlers, the public finance, and Shelby is on a municipal advisor. She'll be discussing tax impact. Steve will also be discussing the site plan, discussing the floor plan, exterior, and the costs. To Shelby's left is Preston Early. Preston is from R.A. Morton, and he is a construction manager. He'll talk about what a construction manager is, discuss the schedule if this passes the referendum, and also different steps of the project. The other format, we have a short PowerPoint discussing all of these items, and then there will be time for questions and answers at the end. Hopefully, we can give you a lot of information in the presentation, but again, there are probably specific questions that you have specifically, and hopefully we can answer those tonight. So I'll start the presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about the needs. And it's Deb, you can turn the lights down. There you go. So there are 5 specific needs that the board, through strategic planning, have identified as needs why we would need a facility like this. The first one, our physical education and health learning environment. At the present time, we do have some classes that are held in the hallway where physical education or health classes are being held. We also share the current facility with our kindergarten and first grade and our 7 through 12 in this building. So there is a need for space for our physical education and health classes. The second need is a practice area for all of our school-sponsored extracurricular activities. At the present time, we have the one gym facility here at Central, and then we have the small area at West Elementary. So we have practices that sometimes begin at 6 in the morning and could go as late as 9 o'clock at night. That's just our own extracurricular activities. That does not include youth activities or community ed temp activities. The third need is a competition area for some of our lower level games, our B, C squad, junior high games. At the present time, some of those games are scheduled where we couldn't have them because of practice facility and practice times. And this would allow sometimes where we could have 2 events going on at the same time. The fourth is a competition area for Saturday tournaments at all levels, the varsity level, junior high level, and at the youth level. With one gym, it is hard to have a lot of teams come into our facilities for a tournament. This would allow for tournaments in all extracurricular activity areas. And the fifth need is a need for community space for use by members of communities that the MCC school district serves. Specifically, what are some of those things? There's been some questions on that. I'd like to touch on some of those. There's a 3-lane walking track that is proposed in this facility where community members could come in and use that to walk. We do have members in the community that come in and just walk the hallways at the present time. It's not real conducive when you have students in the hallways as well, but this would provide for that. Could be for receptions. I'm thinking like graduation receptions. If you have, 5 or 6 different families that want to have receptions together, you could have that as a community space. Other community events, meetings, non-school related clubs, family or business holiday parties, those types of things that could be used, rented for community type space, which we do not have in large numbers or large areas at the present time. So again, those are the 5 key area points why this is a need. When we talk about the positive impact that this would provide, would obviously provide economic development for the community, the district-wide community as a whole, and the county for that matter. When you have events, obviously people are going to spend money in the community, gas stations, food places, things like that. So it's an economic development impact. It's going to provide more opportunities for educational athletics. When we talk about athletics, it is an extension of the classroom. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But we look at all of our athletics as educational athletics as an extension of the classroom. We're very proud of the fine arts and our educational system here. When we're talking about athletics, that's an extension of what we are successful with in the academic areas. The third impact would be practice times wouldn't have to start at 6 a.m. When we have 6 a.m. practices, this really affects in the winter months when it's dark, obviously, in the morning, dark at night, driving on sometimes some bad roads. Probably not the best situation when we have students getting up that early for practice times when that can affect educationally as well. So it would cut down on the need to have those early morning and late evening practices. It's an investment in our kids, in the future of our kids, and also a positive impact of having a community center space available for different events. Research is going to show that when you have school projects completed, it leads directly to a better student performance. And that's what we're concerned about is our students here. Also, good schools benefit everyone. Good schools make for safer communities. And when we're talking about the cost of a project like this, how does it benefit me? Well, someone paid for the building that we're standing in, and it's an investment in our future. Nearly everyone is a product of a school system that was paid for by a previous generation, and we can be a part of that for future generations. The location and the site plan, there have been questions that I fielded regarding where this is located and why we had to purchase the land from the county before a vote was taken. There's 2 parts to that. We had to purchase land from the county south of the existing building so it's connected to this facility. When we look at the feasibility of having an event having it close to the other gymnasium makes for the best situation. So the location was chosen for that reason. It's approximately a half an acre of land that we purchased from the county. There was also land that the current building sat on that was an easement. The county still owned that, and we purchased that as well to clean up the land, the building that sat on county property. The other reason that we had to purchase the land first before we had it brought to a public vote was because you cannot plan and send plans to the Department of Education without having the property that you're going to build it upon. So by law, the land needed to be purchased first before we could move forward with a public vote. Parking has been a question. With the current parking lot that is shared, that we lease from the county, that is used primarily for like the fair and all school activities and other county events. We are actually, and we'll show you this in the next slide that Steve will present, we're actually adding some additional parking, so we'll have a total of 85 spots. We currently have 73 spots. So there is some additional parking that will be placed around the perimeter, and then changing it from 45-degree parking to 90-degree parking will also help add some spots. There will be a new access road that will be from the current parking lot out to Juniper Avenue to the west. So that will be available for access to the parking lot instead of going by the sheriff's office or through the county fairgrounds. This will be a better access and safer access. That would be curb and guttered on both sides. And the other item that I was going to address on the land was in the agreement that we had with the county, the purchase agreement. If the vote for this referendum fails, the school district has an option of returning that land to the county, and then we would be reimbursed the amount that we paid. And then we also have the option of keeping the land as well. So we have that stipulation in the land purchase. I'm going to turn this over to Steve, and Steve will talk about a little bit more about the site plan and also discuss the floor plan of the proposed project, the exterior, and then some of the costs.
Thank you, Superintendent Myers. As Joel mentioned, my name is Steve Posh. I'm with GLT Architects. I've been working on school projects for 33 years now, so been at it a while. And actually, I've been hearing about the needs in your area for gym space and community space. Our firm was actually selected in 2008 when the Rebel Foundation was looking at building a community center. And unfortunately, in 2008, it was not a very good time to start a project or try to raise money for a community project. 2012, we met again, talked about the needs, and talked about how to move the project forward. And it kind of stalled out at that time. And then last year, we had several meetings to see how we could move this thing forward. And so I'm sure Dan was tired of me checking in by email and phone call on a regular basis, wondering the status of this project. But I've been hearing about the needs, how the community needs community space, and this is a good way of moving that forward for your community. Some of the tasks that we've done already to date with our firm There were not very good existing floor plans of the school, so we came and we measured that part of the school, developed the floor plans of the existing school, and then developed some preliminary plans showing how the gym space and wrestling space could be added to the school. We also have worked with the school district and the county in developing a site plan that was agreeable to both the county and the school district. And we assisted in lining up a company to do the site survey. And then we have generated a preliminary cost estimate for the project. This is a site plan. And this part right here, this is the existing school. This is the existing parking lot. And we're showing in yellow the new addition that would be added on to the school. The word for the site, this light gray color, that's the existing bituminous paving, and that would get resurfaced as part of this project. The dark gray area is new paving, and then this is the access road out to Jupiter. And then the fairground, this is the track, the playground, so it gives you some indication of the amount of site work that's going to be done as part of this project also. The floor plan, with the gym being added on to the south end, we're looking at opening up the existing gym lobby. We're also looking at creating a wrestling room. There's a great need for storage for the gym, for the phy-ed and the athletic departments. So we'll be able to provide storage areas that will be between the new gym and the existing locker room area. And then the new gym will have 2 full courts and a 3-lane walking track around it. And then a 42-foot by 42-foot wrestling room. And then at the shop class, we have to relocate the overhead door to accommodate the new addition. The existing multi-purpose space will be utilized for a new concession area and updated men's and women's toilet rooms. But that'll be a nice space. It'll be kind of a pre-event space for activities going on at the gym, either the new gym or the existing gym, and it will also be large enough to hold community events in also. So this is the floor plan. This is showing the existing. This is the main gym of the school currently, and this is the lobby area. We're looking at taking out the existing concession stand and opening up the hallway from the existing lobby into this the current multi-purpose space. And we provide double doors at that location, so if the school wants to secure that part of the school, they can lock that off. So it's not open during certain events at the main gym. Toilet rooms that I talked about, concession stand, and then there'll be some storage for the concession area. This is the new gym. And this is the existing locker room. So from the boys' locker room, they have direct access into the new gymnasium. And then there'd be these storage rooms that could be used for phy-ed and athletics. This will all be on the same level, so for the main gym, they could still store things here and wheel them out and get them into the new gym. There won't be any built-in bleachers at the new gym, but there will be some portable bleachers. There will be 2 main courts that run in this direction, or 1 main court in the middle. You may be able to pull out some portable bleachers for those smaller events. There's the wrestling room is off of that, and then in the shop class, these were the overhead doors that we'll be relocating over to the other side of the room. We did just some preliminary images of the addition onto the existing school, and it would be difficult to find a brick that would match the existing, and we were looking at ways and materials that we could use to build the gym without, and looking at saving some of the cost for doing that. The lower part is it's concrete block on the inside of the gym up to 16 feet. And then there'll be an insulated cavity, and then concrete block on the outside that'll look like limestone. And that'll be larger blocks, so it'll be less expensive to install. And then the upper part is insulated metal panels on a metal frame above 16 feet. And then the roof will be steel trusses, and then the membrane roof on top. So this is the view. This is the wrestling room. This is the gym. This is that shop class beyond it. And then in this view, this is the lobby of the existing main gym. This addition will also look at providing accessible entrance, since the existing lobby has steps and is not accessible. Looking at providing ramp and accessible entrance into that new gym space. Then the preliminary cost estimate. The new construction for the gym and the wrestling room, $3.2 million. Remodeling the existing. This would be for the lobby, putting in the concession, the bathrooms, remodeling the storage, the shop classroom. That would be about $365,000. Doing the parking, the overlayment of the existing parking, creating that access road, about $78,000. And then on top of that, there's the construction manager fees, inflation and contingency, around $600,000. And then the soft costs are the design fees, owner expenses, and furnishings. That's about $425,000. So a total project cost of over $4.6 million. Now I'll turn it over to Shelby.
Hi, I'm Shelby McQuay, and I've been with Ellers. This is my year anniversary that I'm here. Before coming to Ellers, I was with the Senate for 12 years, and I worked for the tax committee in a nonpartisan capacity for 5 years, and then before that I was with the education committee for 7 years. So we go from an estimated project cost of $4,655,000, and we get to a total bond amount of $4,745,000. And to get up to the bond amount, we take the project cost plus some cost of issuance, which are mainly municipal advisor fees, credit rating fees, and then bond attorney fees combined with some county fees. And so your total issuance amount would be roughly what we're estimating right now is $4,745,000. Your district currently right now does not have any debt. You paid off your debt in tax year 2015. And so for tax years 2016 and 2017, you had no school building bond debt. What this proposes is beginning in pay 18, your tax rate for building bond debt would go to 3.04%. And that would be to pay off the principal and interest payments, and that would stay at that level for 20 years that the bond is outstanding, where the interest rate is set at when the bonds are sold. So just listed here, and you can look this table up or a table similar to this one on the website that's linked here, and I believe you have that linked on your district page as well. And for a residential homestead with an average home of $100,000, the estimated tax impact is $22 annually. For a commercial industrial property valued at $100,000, the tax impact is $46, and those levels are higher because the legislature sets the tax capacity or the portion of the value that the property can be taxed at a higher level for commercial industrial property than it does for a residential. Then for an ag homestead, which is taxed again differently than it will be for a residential home, the tax impact on a home valued at $500,000 on an agricultural homestead property valued at $500,000 was $83 a year. But luckily, the governor signed into law the ag homestead credit for school building bonds. And so that will reduce the tax impact on an ag homestead property valued at $500,000 to about $58 for this building bond. And so what that means in terms of per acre value, because what is incorporated here in the ag homestead in this chart is an assumption that the home, the house, garage, and 1 acre for that ag homestead valued at $500,000 is a house, garage, and 1 acre of $100,000. So then the remainder of that would be actually the ag property. And so to put that in terms of a price per acre, like the ag non-homesteaded, is so for a property, an acre valued at $5,000, the annual tax impact after this 40% ag credit, which is automatically included on your tax statements, is 46 cents per year. And that's the per acre amount. And so then the ag non-homestead is taxed at a slightly higher rate than homestead. And so that value for a $5,000 acre property is after taking into account the ag school building bond ag credit is 91 cents per year. I think that was all I had to point out on this. The assumptions here, again, assume no increase in your net tax capacity of your entire value of your district over the life of the building bond. And again, I would just point out that this includes principal and interest payments, and it will stay level for the 20 years.
So before Preston comes up, I'll just touch on the bond referendum and the election and how those dates are set. As Shelby had referenced to, the referendum question will be to borrow that $4,745,000. That will be the question that we will be voting on the ballot. The election date will be Tuesday, August 8th, and the times will be from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. We do have a combined polling place, and that was set several years ago, I think in the late 90s, a combined polling place for special election, and that was set for the lobby of the current gymnasium. So that's where the polling place will be. That'll be for all precincts. The absentee ballots set by law can be they can be picked up 46 days prior to the election date. So that date is June 23rd, and they can be picked up in the district office right outside this auditorium. And a simple majority is required for the vote to pass. It would be 50% plus one of the voters that vote. Other resources, and we've included this on the radio and the newspapers. It's also on our webpage. This website is designated just for this proposed project, and there are items on there like frequently asked questions, the tax information that Shelby talked about. I'm sure there'll be more specific questions. That is on there. You can put your exact values on your tax statements, plug those in to see exactly how much tax impact this would be for you. There are other resources on that web page as well. How many have been there? How many have checked that out? Okay, a few of you. The link for that, again, if you go to our district webpage, mcc.mntm.org, it's right on that first page. I'm going to turn it over to Preston. He can introduce what the construction manager does and talk a little bit about the timeline.
Thank you. Again, my name is Preston Early, and I'm with R.E. Warren, Construction Managers. A little bit about myself. I grew up on a farm by Litchfield, have an education degree, and bought a construction management company, all while raising, with my wife, 3 children who are now through college and have jobs. So it's a really good day as far as I'm concerned. The value of education kind of shows that. The reason I bring up my history is that, a lot of you are probably wondering, about our company, what we do, and how that relates to you personally. And I think having that well-rounded background has been very beneficial for me in my business to help districts understand, these complicated questions that come out of these referendums. So feel free to ask me any questions that later on in the question and answer session that might relate to even from an education or crop and chickens. We raise chickens too. So, sorry, I got off track there a little bit. As far as the schedule goes here, this is a highlight of the planning schedule. And of course, as we are sitting here today in this almost June timing, we're very close to the referendum date. That's what shows here in this circle in August. Many times as you get too close to referendum, there's a misconception that once the referendum passes, we start construction right away after that. There is a period of time that does take place in between the referendum passing and actual start of construction, and that really is to give Steve and his staff, and with the architects and engineers, to develop those plans to final construction documents. So there's a schematic design, a design development phase, and then a construction documents phase when all the plans and specifications are put forth. In this case, the schedule is looking at a January bid timing. That is a really good time to bid construction projects. It's at the beginning of seasons for many contractors. They're looking to fill their seasons, and it's before they get too busy, so it is a real good timing. After the bid phase, there would be a period of time where all the paperwork and material order and processing takes place. So there's that point in time. And we're looking at here with an April start of construction that would be an 8-month construction cycle and would put the district into the building to occupy in the month of December. So this gives you an idea of what happens from now up until the point where we would move forward with all the planning and design process, and then also the construction period. Obviously, with a project like this, there's going to be construction while the kids are here, and so there's always that focus on safety during that timeline. But a good chunk of it happens during the summer months too. A lot of heavy stuff happens at that time, so real good timing from that standpoint. Superintendent Meyer also asked me to spend a little bit of time talking about what is the role of a construction manager and what we do. Basically, under an agency construction management format, which is what my company does, is that we are an agent to the district or an extension of the district. As an agent, our firm does not provide any construction work with our own people. We work to find good quality contractors locally here and try to encourage the local contractor base that are qualified to do this project to work on the project. And so without any conflict of interest, it also provides a good checks and balance along the entire process. But we do focus on the construction avenues so that your district people can spend time on their educational activity. So it's really one of the real key benefits of what a firm like ours represents. We handle all of the bidding in a competitive format. We handle all of the paperwork from lien waivers and insurance certificates. All of the pay applications would come through our office. We manage that with project management, and we do have an on-site construction manager that is overseeing for quality and cost control. And ultimately, that ends up providing the true cost of the project because all those costs are monitored along the way. And so that gives you a little bit of an inkling of what our company does. But again, we work for you directly for the district as your agent. Some of the other key things that happen along the way is during those different stages of the construction, there are cost estimates that confirm with the architectural and engineering plans that are put together, and so everything is managed through the project. The referendum budget is set, so the project has to be managed to that budget. There is no opportunity to go over and above that amount. And so with that, I think I'm going to turn it back over to Superintendent Meyer.
Okay, at this point, we're going to open this up for questions and answers. How we'd like to do that is if you could come to one of the microphones up front so everyone can hear the question. You have an opportunity to do that. I guess, Shelby, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know it's a little bit easier on the residential and the commercial. The difficulty is on the farmland. Can you, to start this, and you can use your microphone in front of you there, talk a little bit more in detail on the ag land and how that specifically would count for someone that has ag property?
Sure. Your district has one of the highest percentages of agricultural property, so upwards of 77%. And so I would imagine most of you are in the position to take this school buildings on agricultural credit. And so when you're looking at your tax statement and trying to figure out where this falls in your property, I think it's what you'll see on your tax statement is your estimated market value of your entire property, or if that's broken down by your different parcels. And so we really invite anyone with that level of detail in their property tax statements to call us, and we can get that information directly from the county on how they're assessing your property as ag homestead or ag non-homestead, and what the portion of value that they're saying that the county assessor is saying is attributable to tax that is subject to the tax. And so when you're looking, I'm going to go back to the text again. So when you're looking at this, and we tried to make some modifications and updated the website as such, but when you're looking at the text there, you'll take into account that you're I'm trying to flip to it here so I can see it too. So like I was saying, on a $500,000 ag homestead property, the tax impact before the ag credit we have stated was $83. And this encompasses that $22 that we're assuming is the value, is the average home price, and so it's the average home price of the house, garage, and land. So where that school building bond credit will come in is on the remainder of that tax impact. So the $83 less 22, and then really 60% of that. Because the school building bond ag credit is not applied to your entire value, but only that's classified as agricultural. And the school building bond credit does apply to both the ag homestead and the non-ag homestead. So depending on how your property is used or a number of other factors that the assessor takes into account, if it's homestead or non-homestead, you will still get that building bond credit. I guess one other thing on that is that unlike things like the property tax refund program that is through the state, the school building bond ag credit will be on your tax statement. So it will be deducted before you pay your bill. So differently than the property tax refund is done, you pay your bill and then you have to apply for the credit. This will be encompassed in your bill, and so you'll pay a lower bill to start. You won't apply for the refund. Is there any questions on that? That helps.
Like I said, feel free to come to the microphone and ask any questions that you have.
I'm Kate Harmison, and I really don't have a question. I have a comment. I was part of a group many years ago that was trying to work towards a standalone facility, kind of this nature, to have a community center that would be available for use for these exact purposes. And we actually went up to the legislature to try to get bonding money for that, and we were not successful. So I want to commend the school board here and everybody up at the table to what they've done here, the groundwork that they've laid, and I think that like Mr. Meyer mentioned, we all were given the ability to have the education and the facilities that we needed to have our education and to be able to grow in our own community. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to do the same for the kids that come behind us, for the grandchildren and whatnot. So I fully support this. I wish you the best of luck, and go MCC.
Who wants to be second? We'll take positive comments as well, but if there are burning questions, hopefully this is an opportunity for you to come forward and ask those, as we welcome those tough questions as well.
My name is Brian Boas. My first question, I guess, is, and I should have researched this and known it ahead of time, but when does the current operating referendum expire? We've got to be clear.
That's a good question, Brian. The operating referendum expires in 2020, and that was a 10-year operating referendum.
That expires in 2020. I was part of I fully supported that. I was part of the vote yes committee, went to civic groups, fire departments, business owners, hung up yard signs. At that time, most of the opposition to that at that time was people were concerned that if they approved that operating referendum, the school was going to add extracurricular. A lot of people expressed that they didn't want to do that, and they didn't want to add more sports than we currently have. I, in a lot of ways, feel that this project makes a liar out of me for telling people that we are not going to do that. And now here we are, 7 years later, wanting to borrow real close to $5 million. So I have concerns there. I also have concerns. I'm all for spending money and supporting the school, but as I walk around this school and in the classrooms, I think money could a lot better be used to renovate classrooms. Going to a lot of the classrooms, the conditions of the walls and ceilings would not be acceptable to most of you in your homes, so I don't know why they're accepted in the school. The lunchroom is an embarrassment. It stinks. It's a dank, nasty basement. If we're going to add on to the school, why don't we add on to West so all of our little children can go to school there instead of here with high school? So those are my primary concerns. And also, if we do this 20-year referendum in 2020, when the current operating one expires, if we need more money, how willing are the voters going to be to approve an operating referendum for the day-to-day operations of what should be primarily an academic institution when we spent this much money on gymnasium?
Thank you, Brian. I can address a couple of those items. We have a long-term facility maintenance money that we do use for building improvements, and we have been doing some of those things in the last couple of years. So some of those improvements that you talked about are on the docket that would help improve those classrooms and facilities. Our 2 locker rooms were in much need of repair, and that is being finished at the end of this summer. So those funds are used for those types of projects. As far as the facility itself, there are parts of it that are old. This part that we're sitting in right now was built in 1924, but the engineers that have looked at this are telling us it is a sound building if we keep it up, and that's kind of the thoughts of the board as well, is to keep up the facilities that we do have. Adding on to West is kind of defeats the purpose of the facility being used together if we have events. All of those things that you talked about, Brian, have been discussed in strategic planning meetings. So those have been addressed as well. I'm not sure if you had questions specifically other than why it's not built at West.
My question wasn't why it's not built at West, it's why it takes priority over classrooms at West. Because I think we'd be better served if there are preschool, kindergarten, and first grade were in the elementary school where they belong instead of over here in the high school, which would also, part of your opening statement, you addressed something with the young children in the gym space. If all the young children were over there, I'm sorry if you all disagree, but I think we need to spend money on the school. I just think I think it's a mistake to start with the gymnasium. I think there's other things that should take priority. And as far as that, I don't doubt that the school is sound. What I'm saying is, take for instance the wall up there. I mean, how many years have we been looking at that water damage? None of you would accept that in your own home, but we're supposed to accept that in the school building? Doesn't make sense.
I just wanted to touch on the operating referendum. Looking ahead, there's no plans to increase the amount on the operating referendum, so that would not be an increase in any taxes when that operating referendum does come due. So that's the plan at this point.
My name is Michelle Clark. I have one child that's out of the school district and 3 that are still in the school district, and I just have 2 questions. First, with the new road that's going to be going on the side of the north side of the track, will there be a fence there for the elementary playground then, so the kids can't run out if it's a public road?
Currently, there is no plans to have a fence. The curb and gutter would be on both sides, but that is an option that could be looked at down the road. It wouldn't be a public road, it would be an access road, so it wouldn't be a city street, it would be an access road. So that's the 2 answers to that answer your question.
I have one other question. With the new security system that the school has in place with the fob system, if there's a public walking track, will the public have access to that, or will it be locked during school hours and things like that, like it is currently, or will we be able to buy memberships? How is that going to work?
That's a good question. All of the details on that have not been worked out, but we want to have this as an accessible community facility. If there are times that are available during the school day, we could issue fob to be used during the school day. Again, all of the details would have to be worked out on that, but it could be a checkout process where it could be used during the school day.
Is it going to be open to the public, or will it be like a membership?
It would be an open to the public on the walking part. Yeah, just like we do now in the hallways. There would not be a membership for walking.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I kind of want to go a little bit further with his questions. I have a 2-part. Jared, first off, I have no clue. What year was this building built?
The main, or the original building was built in 1924. We've had additions added on. There was a 1950, 1956, and a 1974 addition to this facility here. West Elementary was built in the mid-60s, I believe.
Okay. So that being said, and he's already, and like you said, the original building is getting old. You say it is structurally sound, but it does look like it needs a lot of work. There's a lot of issues with it. Is putting this kind of money into what is getting to be, I mean, the building's basically 100 years old. Is it worth putting that kind of money into that age of a building? Or are we going to, in another 15, 20 years, going to be looking at building a whole new school? And then we've already put that kind of money into an addition.
As I stated earlier, and a lot of this becomes difficult when public don't actually see the money that we put in for renovations and the HVAC system to upgrade, and then the continued money that is planned to put in for upgrades on the building. Those questions were discussed. Is it worth putting it in? I don't know if I have the answer to that. The addition would be added on to the 1956 and part of the 1974 edition. In my personal opinion, I feel that the facilities that we have down there are very usable and would be a waste of space, and what would we do with that facility that would be non-usable if you built a new school, plus the cost that would take to do that. That's my personal feelings on that, but I don't know if I can answer in 15 years, are we going to need that? I don't know if I can answer that.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is, this part of it is almost 100 years old. And what happens if this is not going to be safe, and you're going to end up turning this end out?
All I can say to that is it is sound as we speak, and making those updates that would be making it safe and having it safe is the number one issue, which it is at this point.
Hello, my name is Megan Kruger. I have a couple of kids in the district and live here. I think I have to answer for you, Jill. It is worth it, because our kids are worth it. So I think, it's worth putting the money into the school. My question is mainly like the businesses in our county who can put their bids in. What sorts of things are you guys going to do to ensure that they are the ones getting the bids, since they're the ones who are going to be paying the increase in taxes and as well as everyone else?
That's a really good question, and it all starts with all public bidding procedures follow state statutes, and so in a competitive bid process, we would invite all of the local contractors who are qualified to do the types of work that we'd be asking for to put in a bid on the project. It doesn't guarantee that they will be the successful bidder, but being the local firm and having the opportunity to split this into individual bid packages under the agency construction management format, we would bid all of those sections independently. So electrical will be separate from concrete, separate from carpentry section. And so all of the local contractors will have a fair and equal opportunity to be the successful low bidder.
High school back in 1991. I currently have 2 kids in the district. Oh, many questions is enrollment increasing in the district?
Our last 10-year enrollment has been an up and down of about 1%, so the answer to that would be our enrollment has been steady. Our projections, and it's hard to guess out, but our projections for the next 5 years is that it would stay the same as well.
Now, the community center, I heard of weddings, this and that. I know like Hadley, they are a nice little community center. They have weddings, auctions, anything and everything. So what's the main thing at weddings that's going to be there that's not going to be allowed on school grounds?
Yeah, I'm sure you're talking about alcohol, if there was. Those details of those that would be a board decision on whether alcohol would be served. There are concerns about that. If a wedding is served by a caterer, they would have the liquor license that would be tied in with that, but whether the board would agree to that or not is not even been discussed at the board level. So,
well, it's basically it's all about the money. I mean, there's no BS in this. Either it's going to get used or it ain't for community center. Auctions is another thing. Household auctions. Most people have guns. The last spouse dies. Firearms going to be allowed there. This family going to be able to sell them on school grounds. As far as I know, alcohol and firearms is not allowed. sugar on this whole deal. It ain't gonna work, it ain't gonna fly.
Those specific items probably are concerns, but when we're talking about the walking track and the facility space for other types of events, we want this to be used by the community along with the school. So I would disagree that it's sugar on top. It was a specific piece that we wanted to make sure that the public was able to use this facility as well.
I do have to agree with Mr. Bose and the facilities here. When the faculty literally use a yardstick to pull feces down the toilet due to the lack of maintenance. And this should have been done a long time ago. And now we're proposing a $5 million project. I think this is absurd. It's ludicrous.
I can't talk specifically about the yardstick. I think I've been made aware of that, but again, I go back to the fact that
The only reason I can because my wife was employed here, and she's been there and done it.
Okay.
She's told me through
again, what I can address with that is the long-term facility maintenance money we are using for upgrades on things like piping and upgrades to facilities and classrooms. And
Now, don't you feel this should have been done before a proposal like this?
the upgrades,
Yes.
well, we're not asking, we only get so much money a year for the long-term facility maintenance, and we're not asking for bonding amounts for that. Those are all monies that we receive from the state that we have to kind of plan out over periods of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Karen Beers. I teach kindergarten here. I can speak for the kindergarten toilet. It is not a problem with the toilet. It just sometimes, not very often, but occasionally a child has as much as an adult, and the toilets right now are very small. They are scheduled to be fixed, and we asked and requested that they make the standard size, and I don't think there'll be any problem, and it was a popsicle stick. Because it's just quick and easy to do than calling the custodian.
Yeah, so if that was specifically for the kindergarten classroom, that is part of the 1956 edition. All of the toilets and water piping, hot water return lines, all of that is being updated in this phase 2 of this project that's happening this summer. So that would be taking care of that specific issue. That's a good suggestion, Megan, and yes, we can do that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Randy Groves. I worked with some of you on this project earlier on, and the county and school district kind of coordinated. One of the questions I might have is like funding sources. I know it's always tough to do a full project like this. Has there been any work done towards seeking out grants or other sources of funding besides the levy?
I don't know if Shelby has any comments on this, but there are a couple items out there as far as grants that I've looked into. A lot of those are dependent upon whether the project is going to happen before we can apply. So once we know if this passes or fails, then the legwork on my end would kick in as far as writing the grants. I know there's a grant out there from U.S. Bank that has facilities that would meet, or grant monies that would meet this type of facility that we could write and get those. The reason that we're not counting on those as far as the project costs, because we obviously don't know if we would get those secured. But our thoughts on those would be, if we would be able to secure those grants, we could help pay down on the cost of the project, or help pay for some of those soft costs of materials inside the facility.
Okay, thank you.
I guess some of the ones that I'm aware of are the federal government does offer some no interest loans or very, very low interest loans. And each state gets an allocation. I believe the allocation is currently used up, and they're not sure if the federal government will reappropriate that and allocate it to the states in the coming years. Like Superintendent Meyer mentioned, the long-term facilities maintenance is something that some of this work can be done. The legislature in 2015 authorized although I'm not sure, but they authorized this long-term facilities maintenance funding for all districts. It used to just be the 25 largest districts that had this sort of deferred maintenance funding, and they extended the authority to all districts. So really, this deferred maintenance ongoing money that the district has just started in fiscal year 17, and it was a phased-in program like the legislature typically does, and so it'll be fully phased in. So revenue is ramped up over the 3 years. It'll be fully phased in next year, so the district is sort of able to build up a fund for some of that deferred maintenance. But they're pretty strict on, and I guess I wouldn't be able to speak exactly if it covers it, but they're pretty limited on the funds for things like deferred maintenance that the district is already using that money for. So other grants, I think those are, as Superintendent Meyer mentioned.
Thank you for that input. I get a bit jealous because I got a couple kids in school yet, and as we tour these other schools for sports events, seeing what they have, and then knowing that what we have, this would be a good project. But I know a lot of those schools also maybe receive outside funding. Names that come to mind might be like Sanford or Schwann's or somebody like that. I don't know if there's any effort putting, contacting those agencies to see if they can help out in a project like this. So, thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'll touch one other item on the long-term facility maintenance. Shelby said that it's a phased-in. Will be fully funded, I believe, in fiscal year 19. In that, a lot of that is based on the age of your buildings, on how much we receive. So we're in the neighborhood of about $360,000 that we would receive for improvements to projects to help maintain current facilities. So it doesn't go as far as it used to, obviously, but there's a lot that we can do to help improve and fix up, if you want to use that term, some of the areas that are of concern. And like I said, that's a phased-in, fully funded in 2019. And we've used some of that money already for some of the projects, and I really like the suggestion of making a list and showing photos of what those are, because some of it is behind the scenes, under the floors and behind the walls that really people don't see, like your plumbing and that type of thing that has to be fixed, but we really don't see it, but we can talk about those things. new locker rooms were used, long-term facility maintenance money was used for that.
My name is Terry Ortiz. I'm a contractor here in Slayton. I own and operate MCC Electric. My question is if we bid on this project, is it state regs as far as wages, or is it going to be a state-based thing that we got to employ? If we employ somebody, we got to pay them $45-50 an hour.
With state approved dollars, that's where those things like prevailing wage come. In this case, this would all be local bonded monies, so it's coming from the local sources. So the only reason it would become a prevailing wage project would be if the school board would choose to be that. It does not need to be that. So you can bid on it based on the wages you're currently paying.
I'm kind of on the fence in this whole deal because I like talking about more practical facility for the younger kids. I really don't think it's a great idea for my fifth grade son to get practice till 9 o'clock at night. That part, it's hard to get him to go home, get ready for bed, and shove everything to do. So that part I like about it. I would like some information on this new gymnasium. You're talking seating. You're talking about some portable bleachers coming in there. If there's going to be these tournaments you're suggesting, I would like some type of number of bleachers that are sitting that parents, grandparents, family can come watch. You're talking a number. And another part, I think a little more information on this wrestling room, all-purpose room. If the wrestling program, 2 different schools right now have the tank, what is this room going to be utilized for? What do you term an all-purpose room? What can it be used for if something happens?
Good questions. Steve, you want to address some of those, and I can chime in as well.
Well, I think for the bleachers, I think we were talking around 100 people for the portable bleachers. And that's something that you can start with a certain number, and if the need is there, you can acquire more of those. So one of the reasons we don't have built-in is because of the walking track around the court. It would take additional, make the gym larger to add the bleachers into that design. We're trying to minimize the size of the gym and minimize the impact on the county property. So we're trying to minimize the amount of property that the school district had to purchase.
As far as the wrestling all-purpose room, what that could be used for, obviously, the co-op that we have with Fulton Wrestling would be after school time. The all-purpose room could also be used as a classroom. At the present time, our kindergarten and first grade use the high school choir room for their music, and it's not most conducive for kindergarten and first grade with tiered and chairs. The best situation for K and 1 in music is that they need to be moving and singing. This would allow for that. Also, with their schedule that they have, they are in music. Half of the class is in music, the other half is in PE. So if they're close together, which would be right next to each other in the new facility and then the all-purpose room, they could have that music class and then go right into their PE class or music class with limited lost time of walking from the gym all the way downstairs to the vocal room. We also use the all-purpose room for Things in the spring, like golf practice, if there's a net, they can do their swings in there. Other classroom opportunities like that would be used for school activities. As far as community use of those, it would be a smaller area, a smaller room for meetings and community type events, like we talked about earlier. Not sure where the gentleman, Brett, does that answer your question on that?
Hi everyone, I'm Robin, and I'm teacher at Alpha Parent, and I have kindergarten, first graders, now I'm in second. And having kids in this school, sometimes during the day when the weather's really cold in the morning, where they can't go outside at recess, little kids like that need a lot of energy burnout. So this would be a great space for them to go into when there's cold days and it's raining. You go there and burn some energy out. And the teachers appreciate bringing some of that out. So we could space for that as well.
I'm back. Sorry. Just hearing some comments in the back about the portable bleachers and May not having enough seating. I have kids who have been through multiple different programs between JL, basketball, soccer, all of the sports. And I've been to a lot of tournaments, especially with JLs, going to all of these other schools that I look at saying, oh my God, this would be great if we had in Slayton. So, and a lot of them don't have a lot of portable bleachers, and they don't have any permanent bleachers in there. And so the fact that that's causing concern, like he said, you can go and get more and bring them in. You can do, there's a lot of schools that have folding chairs that they put out when they have tournaments. Every tournament that I've been to has very, very limited seating, but they have the facility and they can still have those activities for those kids, which are really important to get an all-around good child. So I wouldn't get too caught up on the portable seating because it really can be added or subtracted however you need it to be.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm Ruth, and we have 4 children that went to school here, and I thought many times over the years it would have been nice to have a facility like this, so I'm in favor of it. I'm wondering what it would cost to replace this building.
Lisa, do we know how many square feet for this building? Come on, Lisa.
I guess my question about that is, I think everybody probably thinks that would be a good idea, except when you look at the, that'd be a huge number.
I'll let Steve punch the numbers in here.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's 100,000 square feet, and looking at just construction cost of $175 a square foot would be $17.5 million. And I think it's a little bit, 122 or something, 122 something like that. So that's just a ballpark on what the construction cost would be.
Which would increase with all those other funds by, is there a percentage?
25%.
So, About 22 million is a ballpark figure, Ruth.
Way more than that.
I'm Dan Walt. We've wrestled with a lot of these questions. I've been on the board for a few years, so we hear it from the teachers as well as the community, and we think it ourselves as a board as far as do you put money into this. I understand the questions, the concerns with this building being so old, but going back to when I first got on the board, we went through strategically on a year-by-year basis as far as what needs repair, improvement, what needs to bring it up to date. And most of the time, dollars is a limiting factor as far as what you want to do and what you can do. But thinking back, we did a roofing project, and we have a roof on a maintenance program that keeps that up to date and to keep it safe. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning, cooling, that system has been totally redone. The windows, the environmentally, or the cost-effective windows have been put in. How long ago the boilers? 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
The hot water heater boilers were in the last 2 years.
That system has been all updated. The piping system, I agree, is atrocious. We've been trying to figure out what to do with this for how many years now, looking at not even being able to get hot water down to the gymnasium locker room. So that locker room project was long overdue for being updated, which is getting done now with those monies that we get in on a regular basis for projects like that. So when you look at that, and you look at replacing the piping and all the fixtures, the water fixtures within the facilities, from toilets to water fountains, etc., that with, unfortunately, slate water, that stuff takes a beating pretty quickly, as you know. All that stuff is getting redone. We heard the teachers with saying, gosh, we'd like to have a new building, but when you look at that, we looked at the costs probably 8-10 years ago when we discussed with the Rebel Foundation as far as, does it make sense to add on? Does it make sense to build something somewhere different? Does it make sense to build a whole new facility? We did look at that at that time, and that $22 million cost, look at the taxes and how much it goes up for this, $22 to $47 for, based on what it is. The board has always had a hard time justifying scrapping a facility that all the engineers and everybody that's looked at it has said is decent, is in good shape. Does it need some restoration, facelift? Absolutely. On a regular basis, there's stuff that needs to be done here. But when you look at that price tag versus scrapping this whole thing and saying, well, let's redo it, it's not really a tough decision to come across. So looking at classroom sizes, looking at the steady student enrollment rates, we think that also we have to provide a facility that not only is good for education, but it's also good for athletics and also good for the community to try and provide a place for people to come that have that choice. There's open enrollment where families on the outskirts of the district can decide to go one place or the other. So we've always tried to provide classes or encourage the administration to provide classes that give kids an opportunity to do something different, do something extra, and I think the facility is just an extension from that. So I appreciate that it's your money, it's your tax money. We all pay the same taxes. I have the disclaimer. My kids won't. I'm not doing this with my kids. They'll be going. Well, I guess maybe 4 months out of it after the project's finished. So it's not for that reason, but long-term wise, is it best to put the money here, put it there? They're good questions, but when you look at the big picture, I think the facility as a whole is very good. There are facelift things and constant improvements that need to be done, but having a facility like this for safety alone with the travel times, I had a question about, you had a facility in Lake Wilson. The cost of that facility to keep up the safety risk of having a bunch of kids jump in cars and driving to Lake Wilson on their own day in and day out was another thing that just gave everybody heartburn because it was considered an extension of the district, so they had the ability to drive there themselves. And when you see 6-8 kids pile into a car to go to practice, it gave me quite a bit of gray hair watching that happen. So when we combine that with the cost of keeping that facility up, that really wasn't an option either. So appreciate your questions with this, but from the standpoint of the board, we tried to keep this as cost effective as possible, looking at every way we could to keep the price down. And yeah, it gives me sticker shock too, seeing that kind of dollar sign, but gosh, when you look around at the facility in Mobasso or the facilities in Marshall and stuff, and having those kind of price tags that those taxpayers have to swallow, it makes it a little easier to look at a project like this. And if we don't keep progressing forward, we're going to not have the facilities that do attract people to our districts. Thanks.
I have a question about the construction of the wall structures and the overhead roof structures. This sounds to me like Stephen Smith talks, his day and age, and this is broadest material that the law that we energy and whatnot, this day and age. I'm not very this guy where we don't think of something that shows to keep the cost of the house down, but over time we just maybe really have much higher because of the degree of stuff we'll get a lot less higher.
Yeah, when we met with the board, we talked about materials and structural systems. There was everything from pre-engineered metal buildings to precast to brick and block. We kind of looked at a combination of systems to help keep the cost down, still keep durability, and still maintain its the insulation value and the energy efficiency of the system. So again, the bottom part of the gymnasium, it's a concrete block, which will be the finish to the inside. Insulated cavity wall with concrete block on the outside for, again, durability on the lower part of the wall. And then above that, to save some of the cost, it's a steel structure with an insulated metal panel. So up there you don't need the durability that you would need at the lower part of the wall. And it's an insulated panel. It's durable, so if a ball does hit it, it doesn't dent or anything like that. It's a factory-made panel, but it is very cost-effective and has good insulating value. Does that answer your question?
I'm Laura Hill, and I think in your website it said it cost $40 million to replace the building. I stand with the floor needs, so I could be wrong, but you might want to, if that's in there, if it is, if it's one or two, you might want to correct the website. The other thing is, when you say you don't want the kids, I know this is an old thing, I mean, Red Wilson Schools goes, we're done with that. But when you say that you don't want to see all the kids piling in their car and going there to practice, just keep in mind the kids from Red Wilson had right here to go to practice too. And that's where I'm from, Red Wilson. My boys had to drive over here to go to practice, and my daughter had to come over here to do practice for plays and stuff. So just remember that's a two-way street. I did have a question on flooring. If you're going to have this as a community center and you're going to have people dancing on it for weddings, they're going to be wearing high heels, at least most of the women probably. How are you going to protect the floor?
The plan for the gym floor would be a synthetic floor, not a wood gym floor. The synthetic floor is much more durable for multi-use functions, and since this will be used for variety of activities and meetings, the synthetic floor would hold up much better than that, than a wood floor would.
There's no problem with stuffing or pumping or anything?
No. No, that would hold up very well.
Okay. And then my last question was, I have heard from, my kids have all graduated, so I don't really have something to do in this part, but I have heard parents complaining that their kids can't take their textbooks home because there's not enough textbooks to go around. So they can't study for tests, they have to be here for the next class to use. And that's where I kind of tie in with Brian. We need to be an academic school first, and extracurriculars are important, but academics has to be first. And I know you said you have outbreak coming up in the city, like we get more funding for textbooks or whatnot. But as someone said too, if we pass this now, how much are they going to be willing to tax even more for that referendum and we've already got all this academics?
On the operating referendum, as I stated earlier, at this point in time, there would be no thoughts of increasing what the current operating referendum amount would be, so there wouldn't be an increase on that. As far as the textbooks, to my knowledge, there are no students that do not have access to textbooks, and you're right, education is our number one priority, and that continues to be that way. If there are things specifically with textbooks, I would be more than willing to discuss that and take care of that. But to my knowledge, there are no students that do not have textbooks.
Well, that's what
Yep.
the parents said they couldn't take them home. It's not that they didn't have access to them in the classroom, but they could not take them out of the classroom because the next kids couldn't go the next same day.
Okay.
So they couldn't study for tests, and that frustrated the parents because they couldn't help them.
That's my understanding. Yep.
I just wanted to comment on the textbooks. I can't speak to specifics because it's been a few years ago, but I've gone as far as buying textbooks off of Amazon because my children were not allowed to bring their textbooks home to study.
Definitely something that we look into. I know when I came here 6 years ago, we implemented a curriculum cycle, and at the high school, we have updated our curriculum in all areas in the past 6 years, and we are currently up to date on our curriculum. But those specific items we'll definitely check into.
How much has been spent on this project to date? Because the architects, everybody does not work for nothing. What is that figure to date?
A lot of our upfront work was not billed for the school district.
That doesn't tell me the figure.
No, I know. So I'm trying to think what we have billed the district to date. But all the early work was done on a deferred basis, that once the referendum passed, then we billed for that. We have since signed a contract and we have billed for some more time. I believe that's around $20,000. And Preston has just been hired, so he hasn't been paid anything yet.
No. And our agreement is what we call at risk, so there is no cost or liability to the district unless the referendum were passed.
No, for the question for the superintendent, is safety top priority for the students?
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
Look at that stage.
As far as
The heat right there, right in front of me.
the heat,
The heat.
oh, the heat. Yeah, that is designed for when there was original lighting in there. It does slope down. If you see the the block.
Is the lighting gone?
The lighting is no longer in there. We have the new lights up above the street.
And otherwise, put a railing in there.
I'm Mark Corbin, and I have 4 kids, 2 that have graduated from school here. One comment I want to make about our academics here, I think they're excellent. It seems like my kids in college and one that just graduated were very good candidates for college. I think my wife's a first grade teacher. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, our scores are very high here at other schools. In the region, in the state, in the nation. So I think the school board, Mr. Meyer, Mr. Standard, Mr. Burley, you do an excellent job of establishing high academic standards. I'd like to thank the school board and Mr. Meyer and everybody involved for working on this. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness. It's taken a lot of discussions, a lot of tough decisions, and sticking your neck out. You have to decide on some type of plan. Nothing's perfect. I understand everybody that spoke tonight, I can see their side of it. I think I work for the local hospital. Once in a while, I bring someone into town to have in the past where they're interviewing for a job or wondering if they should move here and stuff like that. And I'm very confident when I tell them we have an excellent school because my wife's a teacher. You know, but she's a first grade teacher, and she's actually very much with the project. She just had the first grade sand volleyball tonight, so I'm trying to speak before which may get into trouble. I think we have an excellent track and facility out where our football field is and things. I think that took some people that had some foresight. They had some pride in the community. They weren't necessarily building it for their own kids. People that put money in it, people that organized it and tried to get it done. That was actually before I moved to town. So I think there are people that they wanted to make a mark and leave the community better than when they came, whether they got kids coming up or kids that are gone and stuff like that. And for me, this is that sort of thing. My kids are getting too much to be done with school, so I have 7 figures before this project comes to fruition. And I wish I could do more to help it and support it. And I just want to thank the board. You know, it's going to be a tough haul, and I don't know if we'll pass or not. I hope it does. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's something that people will all be proud of if we can pass it, even if we disagree with some aspects of it. So I just want to say thanks, and I hope a lot of people can get behind it. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it's the sort of thing that if we can, have positive impacts in such ways for our communities, it's up to help. Yeah, at least myself, I'll sleep good at night when I know that I help with this project. So I have to say thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Maybeth Lindstrom, and I really hadn't planned on saying anything or asking any questions, but I came here late about 10 after 8, and I just have 2 questions. But first of all, just one little footnote. I've been in Slayton 28 years, a transplant to this community in this area, and this place is awesome. It feels like our county and our city actually has more to offer than my hometown of St. Cloud, Minnesota. So I want to applaud the city and the county and the school and the, our healthcare facility and all of that. My first question is, discussion was made of the roof and the windows and the plumbing and the HVAC and the boiler and all that kind of stuff. My first question is, the oldest part of the facility here, how are the floors and the walls doing as far as, maintenance and that kind of thing?
Well, the floors, if you've ever walked out there, the green and black tile are the original tile from 1924. So, and there is, I kind of wish they were a little bit more damaged so we could replace them, but they're pretty sturdy. And as far as the walls and things, if there are damage, those are fixed. We do painting every summer to freshen up things. I don't know if that answers your question on that piece.
Structurally, I mean, how long does a structure like this, the floors and the walls, last? I mean, I don't know.
That's out of my pay grade.
Well, flooring and things, they're maintenance items that have to be upkept, but
I'm talking
the structure
foundation
is,
and strength of everything. And
a lot of schools go to 100 years old. You say, you figure for 50, 60, you maintain them for 80, but there's schools out there that have gone to 100, and as long as there's no settling of the floors, the walls aren't cracking, things like that, which it sounds like this facility is very sound. So, 100 years will work.
My second question is, when it was anticipated that there would be funding needed for this new proposal, was there a problem with local, state, or federal law that is pursuing grant money at the same time? Would that have been a possibility as well, rather than waiting, for a taxpayer referendum or whatever it's called? I'm sorry. Could the grant money have been pursued as soon as it was thought that maybe that facility might have been considered, or started, the idea, that kind of thing?
I do know some of the grants that I've looked at, the project needs to be in place and started before grant monies can be used. The project has been approved and you're going to move forward on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? It's 9:15 and I was told early on that if you have too long of a meeting, it's non-productive, but we'll entertain any more questions or comments. We don't want to keep you here any longer than you want to be here, but any final questions or comments? Repeat that.
Yeah, so the question is if you pass your referendum for a $4.7 million bond issue, and then you end up getting some grant money, can you attribute that to your, to pay off and pay down the debt? And so I think the answer, there's two answers to that, is that once you pass the bond referendum, you don't have to sell the bonds right away. You can kind of sit on it for, well, I guess a very long time, although statutorily a lot longer, but you probably want to start the project. And so you have some monies coming in. You could also split the issue, and so you issue part of it now, part of it later, depending on if you have a grant money, a potential for that. And then also bonds, because they're at 20 years in length, they'll be callable at 10 years. And so at 10 years, and that's generally what we recommend to keep the interest rate low, is that you can go to your bondholders at that point and say, we want to repay the loan right now, and then reissue the debt for the remainder. And oftentimes districts will do that. just to get a lower interest rate at that time. Often, just because you're then refinancing a 20-year project into, for instance, at that point, a 10-year project, you would then have lower interest rates. So oftentimes, even without the grant money, you'll refund the loan at 10 years and save your taxpayers spend. So there's at that point, the 10-year point where grant money could come in and pay off and refinance it at a lower amount there, or at that outset where you wouldn't have to issue, even though the district is authorized to issue up to $4.7 million. If there were grant money to offset that, the district would not need to issue that much in debt.
Okay, going once. I want to really appreciate and thank you for attending tonight, spending a couple hours here with us. I hope that it was productive in the fact that you got some facts and some questions answered. There is an opportunity for individual questions on the web page where you can ask questions and submit those and get those answered. Remember, the date of the election is August the 8th. And again, thank you for coming.